Thank you all for being here with us today as we celebrate the publication of the zine's second volume, the first publication for Scrub J Press since its revival. Scrub J Press was originally founded in 1996 by Eugene Zumwalt and Chris Henson and published 7 books between 1996 and 2010. The press was then based in Toll House. Restarted in 2024 by Jefferson Beavers, Scrub J Press is now based in Fresno and aims to publish and promote the works of emerging writers and artists from Central California. Can we give a round of applause, please, to Jefferson and Chris, who are both here today? Thank you both for your work with the press and for the opportunity to run the zine through the press. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate both of you. I would also like to thank Taylor Seals, who was an editor with me on this volume. Taylor. Taylor is in the MFA program at Fresno State, and she's an extraordinary person and community member. It's been such an honor to work with you. Thank you to all of our contributors for trusting us with your work. And I do want to recognize our contributors who have visual art and photography in the zine. Sharon K. McLean, John Moses, Senia Rodriguez, and Lisa M.C. Weston. And thank you to CMAC for opening up this space for us today and for recording our reading to archive through the Fresno Art Beat initiative. And I do also want to acknowledge everyone here who doesn't necessarily identify as a writer or an artist, but is still here to support our community and your loved ones nonetheless. We appreciate you very much. Today feels very full circle for me in a way. I haven't told you this yet, Jefferson, so because as I was first stepping into Fresno's literary community when I was like 18, 19, Jefferson and I were working together on the Fresno Poets Archive project, digitizing recordings of past poetry readings, I think mainly from the 90s. And it was through those readings that I learned about the beloved Wild Blue in Tower and really fell in love with Fresno poetry and everything that that particular space symbolized for poets. So much so that I used the name for the zine. And while we can't recreate the Wild Blue, I do hope we all continue to carry its spirit and celebrate and uplift each other. And I'm very grateful that life happened in such a way that I'm able to offer for us to share. Hold on, sorry, my notes are so messy. That I'm able to offer something tangible for us to share together and continue that legacy of the Wild Blue. Thank you all again, and I'm going to turn it over to Taylor, who's going to introduce our readers today.
Thank you for that, Marissa. First off, words can't express how grateful and lucky and just honored I am to be a part of this project. I thank Marissa, I thank Jefferson, I thank CMAC for giving us a space and giving me these opportunities. So just thank you from the very bottom of my heart. I also wanted to just start off with introducing our artists who won't get the chance to come up here, but I did want to tell you a little bit about them. I'm going to start with Lisa M.C. Weston, is a professor of English at Fresno State, specializing in the languages and literatures of early medieval Britain. As a photographer, she enjoys finding images that reveal the weird in the mundane. Give it up for Lisa. We also have Sienna Rodriguez, is a medium support needs autistic woman of Nicaraguan descent. Her speech delay played a major role in her continued curiosity and creative expressions with mixed media. Sienna's works have been featured in regional and nationally recognized exhibitions at venues such as Arte Americas and Arts Visalia. Her drawings and paintings have also been featured in Quaz, Flies, Cockroaches, and Poets. Sienna graduated from Fresno State with a BA in Studio Art cum laude honors in 2011. And we also have John Moses, is an award-winning photographer based in Fresno, California. Moses taught writing, literature, and film studies for 40 years, first in Ohio and New York, and then in California. He was head of the film program at Fresno City College and a founding member of Fresno Filmworks, a nonprofit film society in the Central Valley. He has been an exhibiting member of Spectrum Art Gallery since 2015. Now on to our readers. First up, we have Audra Burtwell, earned her BA in creative writing from Fresno State, California University. Her work has been published by New Note Poetry, Poliver Journal, Flora Fiction, and many others, as well as appearing in the Do Fiction podcast. Her poems were selected as finalists for Fresno's Art Song Festival. Audra's work was also featured on Our California Poems from Fresno County, a literary advocacy project established by California Poet Laureate Lee Herrick in partnership with the California Arts Council. She is currently pursuing an MFA degree in creative writing with a specialization in poetry. Everyone, please give it up for Audra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Taylor, Marisa, and Jefferson for making this possible. I'll be reading my piece, Inania, also known as Empty Place. I once loved the absence of a person, the empty space on a page, cracks etched in wallpaper. How skin retains the memory of an object now gone, indentations becoming untold lives housed in the body. I remember lying in fields of rippling wheat, staring at the sky, my extremities numb, earth-soiled, aching to be touched. I feared and longed for connection, like when I rescued a wounded barn owl from an almond orchard, right eye mangled, weeping yellow and white pus. Wrapped in a blanket, I offered it strips of raw chicken, but it rejected my efforts. In the morning, I found it dead, head slumped beneath a lifeless wing, feathers lackluster in dawn's rays. I cried not for its suffering, but for its abandonment, like the caterpillar maple leaf shrouded, like the stray cat stuck in an air conditioner. The boy next door, who never came, promised at sunset. I have become a snow-drenched peak at 7,000 feet, the cut on the webbing of your thumb no one asks about, the silence that sinks your throat when you swallow. Thank you, everyone.
Skin retains the memory of an object now gone. It's a good line. Next up, we have James O'Bannon, who holds a BA in English from Northern Kentucky University and an MFA in poetry from Fresno State University. He is a Tin House Workshop alumnus and a finalist for the Ghost Peach Press Award. His writing has appeared in Waxwing, Triquarterly, and Mid-American Review, Cotton Xenomorph, and Flies, Cockroaches, and Poets. Everyone give it up for James.
This is James O'Bannon reading Search plus Result. Get rid of window wood rot plus estimates plus how long has the window had wood rot. Wood rot plus how does this happen plus common in fall. Wood rot plus allergies, ragweed allergies plus why can I never breathe in fall. asthma plus worse in fall plus anxiety plus I felt like I was going to pass out today plus help. How many days left in November plus almost over? How to cope with leaves falling. Seasonal depression plus do I have plus signs of grief. Deal with loss plus it's been 4 years already. Cope with cool air plus cope with cracks in sidewalk. How to know when someone has died plus is it possible? How many days do I have left to feel like this? How can I wrap everyone I love around my pinky plus how to escape the dead in memory? I don't want to remember plus I don't want to remember plus I don't plus do I not want to remember plus do I not want plus what can I remember? My mind has been failing me lately plus this is me lying again. Plus everything I have remembered I have pushed away. Open parentheses, don't forget about wood rot. Get rid of wood rot, close parentheses, plus don't forget. Dead plus wood plus something alive in there, plus everything is alive in the dead of the window, plus everyone is dead in your mind, plus lie, plus you can't pull them from the clouds or the wood, plus rot, plus lie, plus everything is alive except the one thing you want to be, plus you don't remember, plus lie again, plus you do, plus you do, plus you do, plus remember, plus remember, plus remember, plus remember, plus memory has never been easy except plus when it is, and it is plus now, plus it always is when you want, plus to, plus forget.
How to cope with leaves falling. How can I wrap everyone I love around my pinky? Next up, we have Shannon Modelone, who is a second-year MFA creative writing fiction student emphasized in literary editing and publishing. In her free time, she's either working for the marketing agency, Distinct Creative Group, or chilling in her dorm room, watching movies, playing video games, reading or writing. She is from Modesto, California, and when visiting Modesto, she's always with her family, friends, or her 2 cats, Izzy and Nova Blue. Everyone give it up for Shannon.
Hi, my name is Shannon Madelone, and I will be reading an excerpt of my story, A Moment on the Lake. I'm going to be beginning a little bit further into the story with this, for context about the story in general. It's about a young girl who loses her grandmother, and the story I wrote is just about her feelings. And processing the loss of her grandma shortly after coming back to her grandmother's house after the funeral. So yeah, here goes nothing. I opened my eyes again after a few minutes and sat back. I felt my hand brush against something on the seat. I looked down to my left and saw something engraved in the seat of the bench. Gone sinking. S. My eyebrows knitted at the sight of it. When did this get here? A memory flashed of my brother and my Uncle John fishing on the lake. It was when I was 12. My uncle had just finished teaching my brother and I how to carve into wood with a knife and decided to take my brother fishing. They were sitting on this old rowboat my grandpa owned as they cast their reels out and threw the fish back in the water. My grandma and I were sitting at the patio table watching them. She was having her usual iced tea and I was sipping on a can of root beer. We only had our heads turned away from them for a second as we talked about this boy I liked and munching on some chocolate chip cookies we had just finished baking when we heard my uncle yell to my brother to swim to shore. The boat was beginning to flood. Grandma and I laughed at the sight of them sinking. After they swam to shore, my grandma and I wrapped towels around them, and she took them inside while still laughing. I felt like I needed to do something to mark the occasion. That's when I saw my uncle's pocket knife sitting on the bench. I giggled at the memory and looked behind me. After they had dried off and changed into their swimsuits, my brother and my uncle fished the boat out of the water and discovered it had a medium-sized hole in the bottom of it. They leaned it against the willow tree. It was still there. The hole was quite visible from where I was sitting. I smiled to myself and then looked over at the willow tree. I once gave that tree a hug because it looked sad. The tree looked even sadder today, though. Its foggy green branches were hung lower than before. They swayed slightly above the sandy grass. I wondered if it was sad because of Grandma, as a dragonfly flew past my face. It was a 12-spotted skimmer. I watched it until I was looking at the lake again. Grandma used to call 12-spotted skimmers robbers because of their black and white striped bodies. She would always say that a cop was not far behind. As I was watching the robber, a black and blue widow skimmer, came zipping after it. Grandma would always come out here right around midday and would watch the cops and robbers for hours. I would try to join her, but after about 5 minutes, my legs would be swarmed by mosquitoes. The sun was beginning to set. The whole lake and the clouds and the sky were now stained pink and orange, like sherbet, Grandma's favorite. She never used to eat ice cream, but I had her try some of my sherbet when we got to a local ice cream shop, and she fell in love with it. A common loon's cry rips through the air, and I sighed. I've always loved hearing that sound. It was haunting and melancholy, but it left you speechless by its beauty. My grandma always loved the loons. She grew up hearing them whenever her father and her would be on the lake near dusk. My grandma would race out to the dock every time she heard one, just to bask in the loon's echo. I sighed and looked down at my hands that were now resting in my lap, and I was brought back to when my grandma and I were sitting across from each other. She was laying in her bed in the hospital, and I was sitting up in a gray recliner. I was telling her about how she was going shopping with my mom and I for school once she's released. I was listing what I needed for my dorm room when Grandma asked me to stand up and walk over to her. I got up, approached the side of her bed, and that's when she handed me the locket. She told me to hold on to it, and I asked for how long. I was brought back to the lake, and my eyes stinked. I was getting emotional. There was no reason to be emotional. Grandma isn't gone. I know she isn't. She's going to show up any second and apologize for scaring my mom and I. She was going to take her locket back and hug me, thanking me for taking such good care of it while she was in the hospital. I started to take the locket off when the chain broke and the clasped heart charm fell. Fear coursed through my body as I watched it fall in slow motion. I was frozen. I wanted to reach out and grab it, but I couldn't. Thankfully, the locket dropped on one of the wooden planks and not between them. I sighed a breath of relief and picked it up. That's when I noticed it had opened a little. Thank you.
I once gave that tree a hug because it looked sad. I really like that line. Sarit Hawk is an award-winning journalist with experience in radio, TV, and digital production. Her public radio reports have been featured on KVPR, KQED, and NPR. She's currently in her second year of Fresno State's Creative Writing MFA program with an emphasis in creative nonfiction. She writes about Cambodian American identity and what it's like to grow up with her family-run donut shop. I'd also like to thank Sarit for the donuts today. Everyone give it up for Sarit.
Thank you all so much for being here, and Jefferson, Marissa, Taylor. There's a lot of joys and pains in growing up with the donut shop, and I'm happy to say that this is actually my first printed piece about any of that creative work, so I'm just so honored that it's in this beautiful zine. Okay, so on to the story. It's called short essay called My Father's Apple Fritters. And yes, they are outside. So there's a certain kind of violence that goes into making apple fritters. No bouncy, ripened rings of dough or delicate dusting of flour. No blooming golden handles. Chef heaves a pile of dough scraps onto the mixing table, flings a scoop of syrupy apple chunks into a pile, and makes it rain cinnamon. A cloud of sharp, sickly sweet dust encircles him. Then the cutter becomes a blunt force weapon used to dismember and mix that pile of dough, apple, and cinnamon. The square, flat metal blade slams down on the wooden tabletop until the dough is an unrecognizable monstrosity. Yes, chef, this is what you build for us. After the Khmer Rouge, after the refugee camps. Apple fritters. They're not the most attractive donut in our lineup. This boring brown disc, so dark it's almost purple. The deep hue, a reflection of its depth of flavor. And the crooked, burnt-looking edges only add to its complexity in appearance and texture. A friend once told me my father's apple fritters resembles something like bear scat. But their ugliness only adds to their mythical status. To bite into this unsightly mound is like entering a portal where up is down and down is up. A place that defies time and gravity and inherited trauma. An apple fritter's contradictions should cancel out its very existence. It may initially look flat and round, but come closer and notice the landscape of ridges and valleys of caramelized sugar. It both straddles the line and at times veers, overcorrecting from dense to fluffy and crunchy to chewy, all of it dependent on which part of the fritter you've bitten into. Start at the outer edges, and the slight bitterness of the burnt crust intensifies the sweetness of the cracked glazed coating. Bite into the middle for a softer chew, where the apple and cinnamon clusters have huddled closer together like little mountain peaks. The sensations are so varied, intense, and bewildering that human logic shuts down and the brain gives in, surrendering to a barrage of bodily senses. The sharp smell of cinnamon, the sound of the crunch in between your teeth, the fireworks of sugar on your tongue. So much intricacy for something constructed so simply. Soft but firm apple chunks embedded in a flat pancake of dough and cinnamon, fried until the edges are crisp, then poured over with perfectly not too sweet glaze. The cascade of sugar frozen in mid-droplets encircling the edge. Yes, chef. No one makes apple fritters like my father. People travel for miles to our donut shop to get them. People show up for his fritters like they show up for church. My father has made the same apple fritters every day for 35 years, with the same ingredients, using the same technique, resulting in the same chew and texture. The fritters have remained unchanged through all the turbulent moves we made as a family, from L.A. to Tehachapi, back to L.A., and lastly to Fresno. The fritters tasted the same before and after the death of my little brother. They were unchanged when I moved away for a decade, trying to figure out my life and path outside of the donut shop. And they're still the same now that I've returned. Still the same despite bouts of debilitating arthritis, severe diabetes, extreme weight loss and weight gain that both my parents have experienced in recent years. All of that hasn't deterred them from keeping the same operating hours. Doesn't matter how long, just that it's 7 days a week. When I finally have a moment to sit down for the first time after the morning rush, I grab a fritter out of the case and take a seat in the back. It's cooled, but still slightly warm in the middle, where the golden apple chunks hold the last hint of heat from the fryer. I sit there, about to bite into the same apple fritter that has always existed since 1989, 5 years after I was born in the Cowidang refugee camp. And I know that if I calculate my bite, I can get a balanced mixture of dense and fluffy, crunchy and chewy. And if I let my brain give way to the burst of sensations in my mouth, for a moment, I am lost in the sweetness. And only when it goes down can I detect a faint bitterness in the aftertaste. Yes, Dad, this is what makes your masterpiece. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharith. Yes, chef, this is what you built for us. Oh, God. Sharon K. McLean finds impetus to write from her conventional childhood growing up in the beach cities of Southern California, alchemizing a painful past into healing and beauty. An avid hiker, wild swimmer, and cloud lover, Sharon is inspired to photograph by the natural beauty in the San Joaquin Valley and Sierra Nevada foothills and mountains. Sharon's work has been published or is forthcoming in the San Joaquin Review, Academy of American Poets, and Under the Sun. A second-year MFA student in creative writing at California State University, Sharon supports her writing habit by working as a yoga therapist and medical librarian. I did also want to acknowledge Sharon as one of our art contributors, so sorry about that. But welcome, Sharon.
Hello. Thanks so much for this opportunity, and congrats to you all for the launch. Crooked tabletop. So I'm reading, nobody knows that. You don't know what's up here. I'm reading a flash nonfiction essay called Concentric Circles. The fox raced around the steep freeway embankment, auburn fur ruffled and thick ruddy tail wafting behind like a trail of red smoke. As my car crept up the steep on-ramp, circling the ubiquitous freeway landscaping, the fox charged around the circumference in the opposite direction, like a ball on a roulette wheel. Eyes glazed with terror, the animal bolted past my car, frantically looking for an escape route. Car horns blared from behind, so I joined the flow of traffic while the sunrise broke through the valley haze. I was heading home from the hospital where I had just spent hours with my partner, a normally healthy, athletic man with no history of health issues. But since heart disease runs in his family, I had called 911 the night before when the left side of his back contorted with pain. The view through the tiny ambulance window was sobering, his huge muscular form crammed into the little cot. Doctors spent hours running tests while I sat in the stuffy waiting room. I bit my hangnails until they bled. Ultimately, the diagnosis was only a muscle strain, but I didn't know that as I crossed paths with the fox. I've never gotten used to the fact that the roads and highways in this valley town are teeming with lost pets, stray dogs, and roadkill. I've coaxed disoriented hounds into my car, reuniting them with their owners. I've waited on hold with animal control for an hour, then pleaded with them to dispose of the flattened dog whose carcass lay smeared on the street. I wanted to guide the fox out of this maze with a whistle or a flail of my arms or even a "Hey, fox," but she was too wild to trust a human. When we first moved to the valley 30 years ago, the area was undeveloped. After coastal LA, it felt like a ghost town, but a safe and friendly one. People made eye contact and said hello, and I loved the open space and free parking. But years later, when I saw that fox, the gears of development were grinding out strip mall-strewn landscape, paved with tracks of cookie-cutter houses seeping into the edges of town, sucking up wildlife habitat, and forcing foxes and other animals into concrete suburbia. As the population increased, so did crime. I was always afraid someone would grab my purse or grab me. Even though I loved the time alone my partner's business travel gave me, after the sun went down, unknown sounds and shadows ignited my nervous system. Once, as I finished dinner, someone pounded on the front door. I peeked through the blinds and saw an unknown man and decided to try a self-defense tactic for women I saw on TV. Making my voice as loud and gruff as possible, I did my best version of a man scream. "What the fuck do you want? You better get the fuck out of here." It worked. The guy left, but my throat was raw, and I never calmed down that night or that decade. Captive in the undertow of PTSD from a childhood that lacked safety. It would take years of therapy and finally the right cocktail of psychopharmaceuticals before I could sustain self-regulation skills. Significant damage had taken place early on. Mom had allowed a man with demonic moods into our little world while she disappeared into the periphery. He dished out strange punishments on our young bodies. A huge and forceful hand, a vacuum cleaner, 100 repetitions. After the first few sessions of discipline, dissociation saved me. I was trapped with that man until my early teens when I moved in with friends, rented my own apartment at 17, followed by a summer in a psychiatric hospital at 19. Close friends marvel at the progress I've made, but every now and then something can set me off, like that desperate look in the fox's eyes as we circled concentrically around each other that morning until the blare of a car horn snapped me back to the present moment. Thank you.
She was too wild to trust a human. Thank you, Sharon. Stephen Barile is an award-winning poet and Pushcart Prize nominee from Fresno, California. He attended Fresno Pacific University and California State University, Fresno. His poems have been published in numerous publications, both print and online. He taught writing at Madera College and CSU Fresno. Stephen Barile lives in Fresno. Everyone give it up for Stephen.
Spreading Paul's Ashes. Friday, August 23rd, 2024. 4 copies of the application and permit acquired after authorization is required from the state to scatter ashes on public or private land. Our automobile excursion to Polk and McKinley Avenues west of the city of Fresno to an empty plowed field for the sole purpose of spreading Paul's ashes was the right thing to do. Paul's second favorite place in the entire world, next to the co-op he lived in at UCLA. You cannot spread ashes on public or private property without written permission. Marianne told me she called her cousin, the son, in Florida about his feelings of our scattering Paul's ashes. He was agreeable to our plans, thought it was a suitable place. Marianne picked me up at home a few minutes before 9 a.m., our prearranged time to meet. Drove to McKinley and Polk Avenues, site of the old family farmhouse, to spread her only brother's ashes. Over Clinton Avenue 99 bridge, she turned south on Cornelia, west at the stop sign. Parked the Honda car in a cutout of pavement made for such a purpose, on Polk Avenue south of McKinley. We followed the black curb around the corner on McKinley, walking in a westerly direction toward the uncle's house. Beyond the 3 trees, 75 yards away, next to 10 acres of weeds. Paul's uncle, the accountant, built the modern house next door. His grandson lives there now, until the house and property sell. We saw a for sale sign in the yard while making a U-turn in front. Undeveloped land, 10 acres, waiting for a subdivision, a strip mall, or a gas station. A large housing development, homes all similar in design, built too close together. Some time passed since foxtails in the field had been plowed under before the fire marshal arrives. If we were ever to come looking for the final place of his disposition, it would be a parking lot. Paul talked of the farmhouse, 10 acres of Thompson seedless grapes, life with the folks and sister, afternoon shade, large trees, a concrete standpipe on the corner where the 2 roads meet, filling the side ditch on Polk Avenue. When irrigation water was available, he could bathe any time he liked. The cellar under the farmhouse was filled with pickle jars, but it was there he found the bottle of pomegranate wine, wine he shared with his imaginary love, and Aquarius from the university. On that hot Fresno night, under a wide and starry panorama, they bathed in shallow water. When the sweet wine was gone, made love on the ditch bank among the weeds that grew there. I walked over the asphalt curb on McKinley Avenue onto plowed ground. I stepped into a hole, fell in the dirt. The sudden fall seemed symbolic, seemed steeped in some sort of meaning, penitence from the earth for my sins, for what I was about to do with Paul's cremated remains, returning them to the dust. In the field was a pomegranate tree, a worthy crop of young red globes that hadn't split open yet, hanging heavy on the branches, protected by a thick growth of leaves and ostensibly irrigated. This was the most appropriate place at the base of the tree, near where the farmhouse rested, where the vineyard grew, consigning Paul's vestiges to the old and tired earth. Somewhere between 8 and 10 pounds of ashes in a black plastic box, 4 inches deep, 6 inches wide, and 10 inches tall. Jack Paul A., his name on a sticker stuck to it. 2 layers of clear tape sealed the hinged lid. Should there be any doubt once it was opened, revealed in a clear plastic bag its contents, white ashes. I expected charcoal color. The top of the bag a seal and a number stamped on it. The bag crimped tightly shut. I used children's scissors Mary Ann brought, just in case, to cut the top off. A third of the gist and tiny bits of bone fragments fell on the dirt in a pile. Exasperated, I just stared. Mary Ann took the bag from me, with her hands strewn white powder around the trunk of the young fruit tree, like feeding it fertilizer. I thought of next year's crop, top-dressed with Paul's ashes. At harvest, fruit it may bear. She handed me the plastic bag with the last of the powder. The remainder fell on the ground. I felt badly, remorseful, that I hadn't done a better job, neater job, meting out his remains. I was obliged to disseminate the white heap, like an anthill with the side of my shoe. I was doing a sort of dance unconsciously with both feet on what was ashes and dirt. The dance grew wider from one pile of bony white substance to the second misdirected mass, chaotically smearing Paul's ashes, mixing them about, returning him to the soil. By this time, I saw someone over at Uncle Dave's driveway, curious about our presence. She gathered all we brought, put it in a black shopping bag, Yost and Webb Funeral Home, on the side. Mary Ann put the bag and box in the car behind the back seat. I estimated Paul's ashes about 8 pounds. She thought they weighed as much as a bowling ball, 10 pounds. She told me that Paul's weight was almost 300 pounds when he died of heart failure. He would have been 78 years old last Tuesday, even though he died on May 18. After all this, I had Paul's ashes on my shoes when I got home. I banged my shoes against the step, knocked the dust off, washed my hands with soap and water. I'm Stephen Barilli.
Wine he shared with his imaginary love. At harvest, fruit it may bear. David R. Carrasco Gomez is a Fresno-born writer and artist. He workshops poetry with neighborhood cats, mockingbirds, and black widows throughout the week round about midnight. David advocates ontological moods and free-form beatitudes for all. Please welcome David.
No, it's all good. How you doing? Sorry. My emotional support, Daimon. That's what we got here today. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Jefferson. I'm excited about this publication, so very excited. I'll be reading a poem tonight. entitled Yaldabaoth Fills In on Friar on a Karaoke America Friday night. Everything dripping kills. Let's throw ice in this thing and say goodnight. But nah, run up their tab. Sirloin, ribeye, New York, filet mignon, mooing at it. Ohio cat dog chewing at it. Nobody cares about your Viking wife, sugar skulled up, calling in at 3:30 p.m. because she getting a tattoo about it. 4:30 p.m., hazy, Xanax, bus commuter shoes about it. La la la, let's go Yahweh. Laced up, skull front, candied bacon jam ain't about shit. But smoke and sizzle rising quick. Wake up. You rise too, gusano. Absence of vegetable, excess of mineral, mine a mineral, weeping, a septum piercing, oozing sodium pleasure, popcorn butter, pulsing sternomastoid structure, evolution, hollering a cranberry vodka, cinnamon, whiskey, whoop my key into the side of his pretty little souped up fish smoke, defining clean shaven, shaped up soup strainers, cop shaped even, Rocky Mountain oysters, coxcombs after midnight on Chinese New Year, boneless, breaded, blame it all on my roots. I showed up in Buffalo black tie, real life livers, Buffalo Budweiser, black lung, red triangle, cowboy killer box, boots, brioche, brioche, brioche be thy name. Niçoise cake behind the dumpster, go 99 bananas on the chiffon before whoop. Custard's last stand. Zip it, trip it, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. About 18%, darling. You're as smooth as Tennessee jet ski hoss. You're as sweet as busboy conga line. Clock me in at 7 p.m., please. See you at Strawberry Wine. Chianti, Chianti, Chianti be thy name. Bathroom line. Cooks go bump, bump, bump. Nose, nostril, nail, wither, potato skin, sack-eyed giggler, a lamb's head wrapped in translucent plastic bags. Señor, que calor. Potato skin peeling at the chef's table, tipping dimes, my boy nickels, dishwasher oxycodone drooping. Look alive, child. Scratch this. Cut that. Scrub midnight into view before the blue verses break out, before Keith sweat and smoke machines warm a cool lung. Lungs, lungs, lungs be thy frame. She'd spank the Malibu pineapple right out your altar boy britches, partner. But they pink slime skinny black mold dipping, so please don't ask. Oh boy, when the booze turns acidic blue. Adios, mother lover, all fender. You won't remember. Cherry maraschino, my little lemon wedge. Electric blue barbello. She'll break your proper little collarbone. And the band keeps playing on. Little worm of light. On and on and on. Patron, pendejo, puking. Pork rinds. Pork chops. Porky puerco plattered in glass case anthropomorphic pieces. Medium rare. Menthol, Barbello, smoking backup guitar for Freddie. Why should I keep loving you? Oxtail stew, grinding, line cooks, bumping again into crumbled cartilage white as 1 a.m. And Barbello hollers, cleavers to your bastard drive-through meat. The night quickens and wants to drink you. Bicycle Barbello, one breast bared, brandishing machete and lacerating the idiot lion face, riding in triangles upon the face of tri-tip. Dip it in our juice sauce. Blockage in triangles with onion rings, blinding the demi-gloss triangle, snake gut demiurge, slashing open the black grease belly of the night and stuffing the oily cockatrice fry cook into the gushing celestial sphere of last call. Kitchen's closed and only $576 American for all that. I'll be there before the last teardrop fumbles thirsting for a tonic water lost in a dimly lit Walmart parking lot, forever outside the Pleroma type fun. Thank you.
Gosh, each reading is an experience, huh? I don't even have a line. That was, yeah.
I wrote down 3 and none of them make sense to me. So thank you, David. Anjali Kapoor Davis is a playwright, poet, and flash fiction writer from Fresno, California. She writes about the challenges and joys of her life. Anjali loves spending time with her family, baking cookies, and advocating for thyroid cancer patients. Please give it up for Anjali.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It is tilted. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Anjali. Thank you to Jefferson, to Marissa, and to Taylor. I really appreciate this opportunity to have a printed piece that's just amazing. So thank you. I'm going to be reading a poem. It's called The Bitter Bread. Beat 2 room temperature eggs faster than the boys' 7th grade fists pummeled your brown body. Add 1 cup granulated sugar, sweeter than the saccharine smile that hid her racist heart from you. Pour in 1 cup of melted butter, slower than the blood that seeped from the wound above your brow. Puree 3 bananas. Blackened ones are better, only applies to bananas, not people in our divided states of America. Combine the wet ingredients, set aside your pride, your anger, your pain. You no longer own your own body. Sift together the flour, baking soda, and salt, removing all clumps of resistance. If individuals are lost in a homogeneous existence. Fold wet and dry ingredients together until mixed up and confused emotions form small bubbles of hope from despair. Bake for 1 hour in a buttered loaf pan while contemplating your next move on the roasting planet we call Earth. Enjoy!
Divided States of America. Thank you. Wow, I can't believe we're already at the end. So our last one is going to be read by Marissa. Paul Illusion was a longtime Fresno poet, a student of Robert Mezzi at Fresno State in the late 1960s with an eccentric character and incredible poetry. Paul's first book, Pomegranate Wine, was published in 2020 by his dear friends, Mike Cole and Stefan Barile. Praise Paulette San Pereira as a collection that speaks of a slowly dying Fresno, but cherished nevertheless. Paul is no longer with us today, but we are very honored to share his work, and I'll give the rest to Marissa. Thank you.
Jefferson told me also that some of Paul's family is here with us today. I haven't been able to meet you when we were out at the reception, but thank you for being here. So this poem is titled Letter to John Weinberg in Heaven. I'm sitting on the gym locker bench where you used to read my poems. A fat cockroach you once poked fun at does a backflip on my Burmese shoehorn. I'm just sending you a line up through those confounded clouds you love to tell you the tiles in the shower stalls are still cracked. The cognoscenti mermaids in the club pool are getting fast enough to race the Canadian geese. Also, since you stopped bartending at the Tower Theater, the movie quality has gone downhill. At the grub serving pub on Olive Avenue, they have an imperial stout called Gluteus Maximus, at 12% alcohol, jumping with hops and barley. As for Sábado y Domingo hangovers, there's the West Side Menudo, a dearth of hominy. Now that Omar is gone and there's no one to read me your poems on the phone, I'd better start reading your books. Love, JPA. So that concludes the reading portion of our time together. Thank you all again for being here. Feel free to hang out in the reception area some more, take some pictures, please eat the food and have some drinks, please. And then I kind of want to get a group picture with all of our contributors in front of, do you want to do it here or in front of the balloons? How's everybody feeling about, do you guys have a preference? The balloons are right here. Yeah, let's all come up. Okay. Taylor, you get in the picture too.